On the side porch of Coleridge Park Senior Housing in San Francisco, one sunny day in early autumn, while a breeze from the fog gathering on top of Twin Peaks cools our bare arms and necks, we are two old women walking back and forth. I with my cane, you with your oxygen strapped to your side. We both marvel at how well you are doing after your hip replacement. From below, there's an ongoing buzz of traffic on Mission Street, shoppers with their children, car doors slamming as they park, driving in and out of the lot of the big discount store which forms the first story of our building. In this urban setting, we're enjoying a garden all in pots along the porch railing, all planted by me during the 7 years I've been living here. Pink, red, yellow, and pink, and peach roses, waving fragrant petals, purple, red, and white striped petunias climbing all over each other, perky daisies. We stop so I can rest while you stand over me, the sun making halos around your white hair. You were the first to find this haven, to begin this community we dreamed of decades ago, all the way back to Buffalo where we met. Back then, we both believed it was enough to create our collective from women only, mostly lesbians. We hadn't yet dared use that L word. But did those young women really think we were their mothers? Is that the problem? The big difference in our ages? Today, you tell me that you and Sandy will be going to your cardiac celebration of Fall Fest this afternoon. And at the hospital where you spent hours, I at your side worried. That was 5 years ago. Lately it's been your lungs that have us concerned, and Sandy's heart, severe pain in my back. We still worry, but now our community here has grown. Ginny, Cheryl, Tita, Eva, so there's more of us to help out and to worry about. We talk about this writing that we're doing of our memoirs. I tell you that I'm excited about a new idea. You say that you've got to get moving on yours. After we part, I continue walking, thinking about the two of us. How after the failure of that collective in the spring of 1977, we sold all our household goods, bought a used RV to travel around the country looking for an older women's movement. I have to see how I cut this up. I'd spent a year working with Alice Paul, their leader, the leader of the suffragists, which had challenged and inspired me to devote what was left of my life for justice, for civil rights, for women. When I told Alice Paul that I wanted to study their movement, she said that she thought the point was not to study history, but to make it. Until meeting her and her co-conspirator, Mabel Vernon, aged 88, could I ever have imagined old women being so powerful, so amazing? I lived and worked with them for a year, lobbying for the Equal Rights Amendment. That spring in 1971, I learned Bella Ciao, a revolutionary song. A revolutionary song revised for women's liberation when I marched with a women's march on the Pentagon, carrying a flag I'd put together on the floor at Alice Paul's Women's Party headquarters. How many songs, how many demonstrations could it take us to find the dream of a movement of our generation of older lesbians? Not as easy as we'd hoped. We could imagine a new kind of living and loving, a collective of women, we called it. You'd always talked about community, about couples needing more than just each other. It was vague at first, but something real when you and I found each other amidst the noisy ruckus of an exploding feminist movement, at the university where we were, quote, experts on a panel about this miracle of women taking charge of our own lives. You, the social worker, me, the sociologist. That day you drove me home. We spoke of mutual friends our age. I told you how lonely I felt, surrounded by everybody young, hating their mothers. Not me, they'd assure me, as long as I was their teacher. I yearned for you, Pillay, my soulmate, my age, feminist, peace activist, and finally, maybe, hopefully, lesbian. I was sitting at the yellow chrome table in my kitchen with a window on a brick wall 1 foot away. You stood with your head in the refrigerator, searching for what? For me? I found my courage in your back. I said, I want a relationship with you. That was when you kissed me. Fast forward to 2012. The two of us now 83, almost as old as Alice Paul when I knew her. Now there are 8 lesbians thriving here, old friends and former lovers, and Joyce is moving in, while all over the Bay Area, Southern California, and around the nation, we've been claiming our space. Living here together with you in our community, every woman precious, we are in fact living the dream of co-housing. Even though ending our, quote, relationship within a few years of arriving in San Francisco, you and I have gone through all the other lovers and friends, deaths and illnesses, separately, yet joined in a partnership and a community which has rooted my life in an adventure so much greater than any I could have imagined. All this and still a garden to care for, spreading along the porch outside my door.
Treehouse. I was probably 8 or 9 when a new family moved into the house next door. Their garage backed up to the side of ours and there was a gap in the hedge there. Step over the roots of a big tree and you're in their yard on the driveway leading to a side street. The children of the family quickly became my friends. 2 boys, one my age and one a year or 2 older, and a girl a couple of years younger. Everyone in my house was much older than I, and I was delighted to have kids close by. When they moved in, the family hung out a sign saying, "Tourists." I knew tourist homes. That's where we stayed, the sign we looked for when we drove to Canada and back in the summer. Tourist houses in towns, cabins along the rural highways. Motels would come much later and we couldn't afford hotels. It didn't register on my child mind until much later that this was the sort of a tourist house that rented rooms by the hour, or that there was anything suspicious about the gaggle of older sisters and aunts who shared the home with the parents and the 3 children who were my friends. Mine was the only bedroom on that side of our house, so I suppose at night the house would look deserted. But I could look directly across our drive and across the dividing hedge into a bedroom of their house. I was fascinated by the activities that took place in that bedroom. Intrigued enough, so I invited my new friends to climb up to the deck outside my room and perch on the sloping tin roof to watch with me. We watched in silence, not wanting to alert my family behind us or the people we were watching in front of us. Kitty corner across the intersection from their house was a vacant lot. sometimes used as extra parking for the diner next to it, but mostly weeds and one enormous pine tree. The limbs of the tree started 4 or 5 feet above the ground and swept down to make a private space entered by pushing aside a particular pair of cone and needle-laden branches. We cleared debris from the space, piling it up to make the room even more sheltered and private. It was still a tight fit, so we dug down into the soft soil around the roots and hauled it out of the way. Now we had a playroom, safe from prying adult eyes, with a soft floor and some roots to sit on. The light was filtered so that we could barely make out each other's faces. We would tear open candy wrappers by feel, trusting each other to divide them equally in the dim light. If one of us had a nickel, we could go to the diner and get a cola to share. The pine smell under the branches was always strong, more so when we tore off needles and twigs that pricked us. This was our house, and we reveled in our freedom from adults and older siblings. With that freedom, we were able to discuss what we had seen through the bedroom window. Somehow, we'd absorbed the idea of unwanted pregnancies and determined that since neither Peggy nor I were having periods yet, it wasn't an issue. We also had the basics of what went where pretty well in mind. Did I remember earlier abusive experiences? I know those memories were absent in later years and only returned when I was in my late 20s in social work school. At 9 or 10, our experiments didn't trigger negative emotions. Then neither were they all that exciting. But we thought of sex as being all ours, and that was enough for us.